Alright, now that I stopped being lazy and I've gotten back into my groove of uploading videos, what do you say we go old school 2016 Fasapo, where we do a little bit of quote-unquote leak skepticism? Today's quote-unquote leak is a supposed release date for Animal Crossing, whatever it's going to be called, on a Nintendo Switch. Now, the fact that we don't know the name is going to prove my point later. So it looks like back on January 7th, 2019, Twitter user Lovehearts, @Lovehearts, tweeted this out. Lads, I went into GameStop to have a look at the Switch games and I ended up placing a deposit on a pre-order for the new Animal Crossing game. It's going to cost €70 and it has a date of release on 29th April. But the guy said it's an estimate and it could be here earlier. And then about a few weeks after that, another user by Quake Scopes offered up a very similar claim by saying, all Animal Crossing fans, after talking with the manager at Game, which is a game store over in the UK, pretty sure it's owned by the same company that does GameStop, I can confirm that the estimated release for Animal Crossing Switch is the 29th of April, and yes, there will be a special edition Switch later in the year. Now, I want to give my input on this, and do my classic old skepticism, which back then some of my skepticism was, didn't end up actually coming true, and those quote-unquote leaks ended up being true. But I was right on occasion, and I think I'm going to be right on this one too. I personally think that April 29th release date is a placeholder, and that's not the actual release date for the new Animal Crossing game. Now, keep in mind, these Twitter users here were in Europe, so obviously I'm in the US. You can hear by the way I'm speaking here, and by the fact that I talk about it quite often on Twitter. I live in New York in the US, so I go by US release dates normally. We're going to look at some past Animal Crossing games and what day of the week they released in Europe, and we're also going to look at a couple other facts surrounding this. So first things first, the release date is on a Monday. The supposed release date is on a Monday, April 29th. 2019, obviously. That is Monday. Every past Animal Crossing game, at least in the modern era, we're not counting the GameCube version because that was kind of like the first one outside of Japan. Animal Crossing Wild World, March 31st, 2006 in Europe. That's a Friday. Animal Crossing Let's Go to the City, or City Folk as us people in the US know it, December 5th, 2008, Friday. Animal Crossing New Leaf, June 14th, 2013, Friday. That's typically the day of the week that Nintendo releases their games in Europe. Usually in the US, it's like Sunday or something like that, or sometimes it's a little less consistent here. But a Monday just wouldn't match up with what they normally are doing over in Europe. So that's kind of the iffy aspect of this, the first iffy aspect of this. The second thing is, it seems like kind of a short release window for a game that we pretty much know nothing about. Think about this. The only thing we know so far from Nintendo is that they announced this during the Smash Direct, that there was going to be a new Animal Crossing game on the Switch that was coming out in 2019. And we knew a new Animal Crossing game was going to come eventually because it skipped the Wii U. But, the fact that we got a confirmation for 2019 was pretty nice. But we didn't get a title, we got no footage, we got nothing for this game. So, we know nothing right now, and it wouldn't be normal to have a release window this short when we literally know nothing about the game. Nintendo has never dropped a surprise bomb for a major series like this. Animal Crossing may not be major on the level of like Smash or Mario Kart, but it still is a system seller. There are millions of people that are waiting to buy a Switch till an Animal Crossing game comes out. So they're not just going to surprise release it and not give any sort of proper build-up to the actual release of the game. Now, in terms of modern Animal Crossing games, the shortest release window between the announcement of the game and the actual, full release of the game was Animal Crossing City Folk, which we saw during E3 2008. That was the first time we saw the title and saw the footage of the game, and then it was released for the US, it was actually released in the US first. That November 16th, 2008, is when the game was actually released, so it's just a period of a few months, but again, that is a longer window than we're looking at here. So that's July, then August, September, October, November. That's 4 months. This right here would have been just January that they were finding out. January, February, March, April. Only 3 months. Here's the difference. With Animal Crossing City Folk, with that 4-month window there, we had already seen the title, and we saw plenty of footage of the game. Plus, Animal Crossing City Folk was a pretty lazy Animal Crossing game to begin with. They basically just upscaled Wild World and changed a few things around. So it's not like they had to do much when they were making that game to begin with. But this is a 3-month window right here, and we know nothing about the game. So that's the second iffy aspect. The third iffy aspect is personal experience. Now, like I said, I live in the US, so maybe some things are a little bit different over in Europe. Maybe Nintendo of Europe handles things a little bit differently, but I have worked at multiple stores that sell video games in my life. I don't do it anymore, but I used to work at a major electronics retail store famous for blue shirts and polo pants. And I've worked at a couple other stores that sell video games too. And even store managers, in every single situation, even store managers would not know about the release date of something any more than like maybe a couple days before the rest of the world knows. And even then, that wasn't even usually the case. Like every Nintendo game I could think of at Blue Shirt Polo store that I worked at, we would find out about the release date. It would not show up in our systems until they actually announced it to the public. And the reason for that is because Nintendo is a very tightly knit company. They don't want people leaking release dates before they actually come out. Now, granted, that doesn't always work. There's always some insiders, but believe me, store-level employees and store-level managers are not going to be finding out about the release date this soon, especially at this state in the game when we literally know nothing about the game, as I said before. So that's something that definitely doesn't happen. GameStop, Best Buy, all those companies do not find out about the release date of a game this early in the stage when we literally know nothing about it. Now, I'd understand if we just got a Nintendo Direct that maybe showed off more of the new Switch Animal Crossing game and like showed off the title, showed off footage, but still didn't have a release date for us. Maybe I could understand if they were like planning on dropping the release date like next week or something, but there was no January Direct this year. So yeah, we know nothing. So that's kind of the third iffy aspect. So what is this? I do not think that Love Hearts or any of these other Twitter users are lying. However, what I think is happening is I think they're looking at just the GameStop placeholder release dates, or every store has like a placeholder release date. They'll just drop it in there and, you know, it's just put in there because when you're loading up a system, a lot of these stores, GameStop especially, Game in the UK, they like to have pre-orders put in way ahead of time for a game that they know is coming out. Even when there's very minimal information on it, they want to make sure people have the ability to pre-order as soon as possible, like before competitors are at least able to put up pre-orders. And that's even when they don't know any information on it. And to put it into the system, you got to put in some sort of date. Now, a lot of these stores don't have like a TBA function when you're putting in a date because they don't allow letters, they just allow numbers. So they'll just put a random ass date in there as part of the computer system, and you'll get some newbie level store employees who don't really understand that this is a placeholder date, or even some managers that are a little sleazy that want people to drop the money because that makes, I guess, having a release date, making it seem certain, makes people more likely to put their money down. But either way, that's a placeholder date for these stores. April 29th, if, Game and GameStop have it, they're all going to have roughly the same placeholder date. Other companies may copy that placeholder date also, but that's just a placeholder date, and we've got some employees that either don't know what they're talking about or are lying to this person just to kind of get them to pre-order early. So I could end up being wrong. That could end up being the actual true release date, but I wouldn't put any money on it. Now, what's my guess for the release date? Well, my guess for the release date for this game, I originally was going to be thinking sometime in like spring of 2019 if more details of the game were shown off in a January Direct. But like I said, there was no January Direct this year. So my personal opinion is we're going to see the new Animal Crossing game probably release in Japan sometime this summer or fall, and then later on for English-speaking countries. Now, we know it's going to be in 2019 because that was in the middle of our Smash Direct that said 2019. It could get pushed up. Remember how often Zelda got pushed up. But I personally think we're going to see it like in Japan first, and then like a little bit later we'll see it in other countries. Now, New Leaf had a big gap between like announcing Japanese release and then worldwide release. It was like announced at E3 2010 when the 3DS was shown off. We didn't even know the title. And then it was released in Japan in like fall of 2012 and then not released in the US until June of 2013. So that's quite a big time gap. I don't think we're going to see that here, but it could be more like a City Folk situation too, where it's actually released outside of Japan first and then not released in Japan till later. So overall, if we're not going to, like, I'm not going to do region specifics or anything, but I would be looking at roughly like a summer to fall release. I mean, Nintendo already has, Pokemon likely coming out for this holiday season. Pokemon's always a holiday game. That's usually when they release them, at least nowadays, because that's a huge system seller. But Animal Crossing is also not on like the low end. It's not like Kirby or Yoshi, so they're not going to put it in a time period of the year where no one cares about. They want it in an active time of the year. So that is looking to me like what makes most sense. April 29th would have been a good day. Like I said, if they had already shown off the game and we knew it was in it, like in like the Holiday Direct, they showed off the game in its entirety, that would be an okay release date. But right now, I'm thinking June probably, or somewhere like October, November. So we'll just have to see. In the meantime, if you are excited for the new Animal Crossing game and really looking forward to it, I have an old video of mine, one of my first videos on my channel, and one that still gets lots of views and comments to this day. I have an old video about what I would want to see in a new Animal Crossing game. Now, a lot of people disagree with my points in this one. This is just my personal stuff. The gist of that video is basically get rid of the old assets, so, you know, the old reused Able Sisters Museum, like that kind of music. Give us some new visual styles, like the Animal Crossing track in Mario Kart 8 is just beautiful, and I'd love to see a game that looks just like that. And give us some new extra features to entice us to get this game, like mix Happy Home Designer into it and, you know, give us something nice and fresh. Anyways, that's going to be it for today. If you guys have any ideas for topics you want me to go over, like I said, drop them in the comments. The biggest reason why I haven't been uploading too often lately is because I just haven't had that many topics to talk about and not really much motivation to make videos. But if I have more topics and something looks interesting, I'll definitely make a video on it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.